Yes, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Ghostoul Podcast. Each week, I interview the very best in the paranormal, and this week is no exception. The guest today, some would say she spends all her time away with the fairies. We have Liz Cormell. Woo!
Hiya.
You're right.
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yeah.
Good. So, I'm so happy that you've agreed to come on the show and talk the paranormal with me.
Well, thanks for asking me.
That's all right. So, for those of you that don't know who Liz is, Liz, if you could just give a little rundown of who you are and what you do, that'd be great.
Yeah, so Ligrillis, which is on the screen, is my witch's name. So I'm a Norse witch. I've been a practicing witch for about 20 years now. Which is about the length of time I've been into the paranormal. So I do investigations, I research all sorts of myths and legends, mainly Norse-based pagan stuff.
Yeah.
But I investigate with loads of different groups, and I tend to work as a psychic medium rather than pure investigator. So I love all the gadgets, but I like to be able to see what's around and work out where to put the gadgets to get the best results.
Yeah, I think that can be difficult sometimes because obviously you've got the best of both worlds. You have your mediumship side where you can is it you can see them and hear them, or just one or the other? Or
I'm what's called claircognizant, so I see them in my mind's eye. So the way I describe it is, if I was to ask you your name, you don't think about the answer, it just comes out because you know your name. I'm the same when I'm working with spirits. So if somebody asks me a question, I will answer as the spirit. So it's like claircognizant means clear knowing. So it's like I'm remembering a memory, if that makes sense.
That they're sort of putting in your head.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I've never really heard of that before. Yeah, so obviously you've got that side of you, and you've got your investigating side, like us normal folk. So which do you sort of prefer to do? Obviously, or does that change depending on where you are?
Yeah, it does depend on the venue. Like somewhere like Tudor World, Falstaff, is very much a medium's place. You don't very often get much with equipment. Whereas other places, it's the equipment that goes off, and I don't really get much as a medium. It's interesting how some places are one or the other. There aren't the Holy Grail, I guess, is the one where it all matches up, and I go, oh yeah, put a camera there, and we record something, or I put a REM pod there, and the REM pod goes off. That's like the Holy Grail of my investigating.
Yeah, that would be amazing. I mean, I've worked with a few mediums in the past, and it's good when they're picking up, like you said, they're picking up on something, and we sort of get other people feeling things, and then maybe the equipment goes off, and it's like a chain reaction, and that's very rare. That's very rare, I think.
We had one the other week. I'm trying to remember. I think it was Sharnbrook Mill, where there were three of us in the auditorium. I was sat down by the front of the stage, and Stevie from Resident Ghost Investigations was on this side of the stage, and Dave was up at the top in the lighting box. And I was feeling that there was somebody in front of me, the opposite side of the stage. Stevie was seeing shadows, and we did a vigil, and then a bit later, at the end of the vigil, Dave went, "Come and look at this," and he's got this shadow that walks across where I was pointing and goes up the side of the auditorium where there isn't actually an aisle at the moment. The chairs go all the way up to the wall. So it was one of those perfect ones where I knew something was there. Stevie was seeing shadows, and Dave's actually caught a shadow on camera, which was just amazing.
Wow! So that was on video camera, was it?
Yes. Yeah.
That is like the holy grail of. It's very rare you actually capture movement or like an apparition. It's normally audio, isn't it?
Yes, and this was a shadow. It wasn't like a full body apparition or anything amazing like that. It was a shadow. You could see the movement of the shadow, and we spent probably about half an hour trying to debunk it, like waving torches around and wiggling backwards and forwards. But it was interesting.
Trying to recreate,
yeah, and there wasn't glass in the front of the lighting box, so it wasn't a reflection. And like waving the camera around, trying to get a reflection on the or lens flare or something like that. We couldn't do it. So yeah, it was one of those rare events where everything worked out.
That's when you go home happy when those sort of things happen, don't you? So that location you're talking about, is that a common thing to be witnessed, the shadow figures, or?
Yeah, there's lots of shadows, not necessarily in the auditorium. There's one staircase that you quite regularly see shadows walking up and down the stairs. I love that place. I've done it so many times over the years, and there's always something different. A bit like the Skirrid. There's stuff that you expect to happen at the Skirrid, and then you'll just get something completely off the chart and off the wall. It's like, well, I've never seen that before. That's what keeps you doing it, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the buzz. Even if you have a flat night, I think that's why we keep doing it. Some people ask me, what, if you have a quiet night, why do you keep doing it? Like, you could go months without really getting anything. And it's like, because it's a bit like religion. It's the hope. You put faith into it, isn't it? It's like, imagine if we go to this place and we capture something, Yeah. It's almost buzz.
Like you get to the point where you're talking yourself out of it. It's like, well, I must have made that up, or I'm remembering it wrong. And you go for a few months when nothing happens, and you're like, oh, well, maybe the paranormal doesn't exist. And then all of a sudden big happens, and it's like, oh my God, yes, I want more now.
Yeah, so I'm a believer. I would guess maybe you're a believer if you can, like mediums and that, they can obviously talk to spirit. I suppose it's also always good to be skeptical, but I would suggest, are you a believer? That's what I'm trying to get to.
I do, but I come from a forensic science background.
Okay.
So I call myself a skeptical medium because I'm always looking for, well, why have I said that? Why has this popped into my head?
Okay.
Is it because I'm looking at the building and I'm reading the building subconsciously, or I've read something many years ago and I don't remember reading it? Why? What is it that's happening in my brain that means I get messages? Is it a dead person, or is it something else? Is it universal Google? Is the other one? It's like somebody in the room knows it, therefore I'm picking it up from them, not from a spirit.
Yeah, that is a good one. That it's difficult. I suppose you could subconsciously pick up on things. You could remember certain things for the location. I mean, do you ever go to locations not knowing where you're going, or is it just?
I don't.
To sort of
don't very often, because I tend to be driving. But I don't research places like the Skirrid. I've been to so many times. I've never read up on the Skirrid, so I don't know the history of the Skirrid. I rely on other people to be able to say, "Oh yeah, what you picked up was right there." So I don't intentionally read up on locations just because I want to test myself. I want to test the theories. But you always get something where somebody says, "Oh, have you been to here? And this happens, and there's this old woman, and she did this." So you do get fed information unintentionally. But I mean, my memory's that bad that I've done so many investigations. I mean, you're probably the same. It's like, well, we're going to where? Well, you went there a couple of years ago, did I? I don't remember it.
yeah, it is like that sometimes. You go to so many, and it's just like, whew, straight over. So, do you ever research eventually of the location? Think, oh, what's right about that? No, because I suppose you'd probably go back again and then again. So there's no point. You've not got like a final time of visiting unless it's knocked down, maybe, I suppose.
Yeah, somewhere like Smelly Baths that will never ever be investigated again, unfortunately. I will research. I've done a little bit of research because there was bits and pieces that I picked up the second time I went that it was like, well, I know the area because I used to work there, but I don't know the history of the building. So is what I'm picking up right? Do we have a record of stuff? And I will then research what other groups have found, the history known about the building and stuff. Like I picked up an air raid warning and everybody going under the baths into the tunnels for an air raid.
Yeah.
And that's correct. There was an air raid warning, an air raid shelter underneath the baths. But I didn't know that before I visited. So, but yeah, unfortunately, that's it's going to be turned into flats or something. I think, I don't know, because I've noticed it's gone back on the market.
Yeah, I heard about that. It's a place
Yeah.
I've never been to, but I've heard so many people like yourself say how good it was. And
Yeah.
I'm a bit jealous, to be fair, and a bit gutted that won't ever happen now for me. But
Yeah,
you know,
so many
there's
other
always-
places that.
there's always YouTube to watch everyone else's videos. So, oh, that looks good. Yeah, I'm not going there though.
Yeah, it's like Drakelow. I really want to go back to Drakelow.
Oh yeah, it's. I think people are in there again now, isn't it? It's a museum they're doing.
He's been trying to open a museum for ages. I mean, that's just down the road from me as well. So
Okay, yeah.
he's been trying to get planning permission for a museum for ages. But the majority of the tunnels now, I believe, are storage. They're used as wine storage. So I don't know. Maybe one day in the future.
Imagine having that as your wine storage. 3.8 miles of tunnels. That's a lot of wine.
See you in half an hour. I'm just going to get another bottle of wine.
Yeah, take your torch. Wow.
You can drink it on the way back and blame the ghosts.
Yeah, don't know what happened. Yeah. So what sort of got you into the paranormal then? Was it a early age? Did you see a spirit? Was it TV? Or what sort of led you down that path?
Growing up, I always knew there was something. Like, it's come down through my mom's side of the family. So my mom's mom, a lot of my mom's cousins are all psychic.
Oh wow.
And as kids do, you always go to these historic places, these castles, and get taught about history. And there was usually a room I didn't want to go in because it felt wrong. It didn't feel nice or felt different. And then I was about 6 or 7, I think it was. I stayed at my grandparents' house over the summer and woke up screaming because there was a man stood in the window.
Oh wow.
And it was all kind of brushed off, like, oh no, it's just the furniture. And my nan kind of rearranged bits of furniture and said, oh, there's nothing there, look, go to sleep.
Yeah.
Looking back, I don't know whether she knew that there was something there, because like I say, she was psychic as well.
Yeah, she knew.
yeah, I think so. And then going forwards, like, kind of, it was just a weird feeling when I went somewhere. Got to the age of 17 and I went out with a guy whose mom was a Romani gypsy. And as a 17-year-old, like most people do, go through a thing of questioning religion, everything, why we're here. And got into astral projection and lucid dreaming. And his mom taught me to read tarot cards using regular playing cards.
Yeah.
Kind of did that for a while. Life got in the way, got a career. And then a friend of mine from work and I just went on a ghost hunt for a laugh. One of the big companies doing one of the big public events back in 2005. Went to Caldecott Castle and picked up on stuff. And the medium said, "Are you a medium?" I was like, "Well, not that I'm aware of." And he said, "Yeah, I think you are. I think you need to develop it." So that's how I got into ghost hunting. I didn't join a circle or anything, which is quite often the way people go, developing mediumship, join a circle or spiritualist church or whatever. But I'd already kind of backed way off from organised religion. So just went on any ghost hunt that I could. So every Friday, every Saturday night when I wasn't working on shift, I'd be doing an investigation or a ghost hunt or something. I just kind of built it. Just practice, basically.
Did you ever go to your local cemetery?
Yes, quite regularly.
If you mate. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a lane down from Mum and Dad's where I grew up called Gibbet Lane. We used to go down there as teenagers and scare the living daylights out of each other. because some people might know the story. There was a guy killed by a robber. He shot him in the back and stole his watch, and he managed to get himself home. But the robber was caught pawning the watch, and he was put in a gibbet. He was hanged and then put in a gibbet on the lane, which is why it's called Gibbet Lane now.
Gibbet Lane, yeah. Oh wow.
And if you go down there, the atmosphere it's a really weird place. You used to be able to drive down it, but you can't now. But we used to, like, as teenagers, go down and park up and get spooked and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, tell stories. Invite more of your mates down, scare them that have never been there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a local one to me. It's I remember going there on a school trip. It's about 10 minutes from me. It's an old abandoned cemetery, and it's got like a church ruin in the middle. And they always talked about this highwayman called Captain Slash. And the story was that he was obviously going around stealing and doing whatever he does, and he was caught and he was hung in like the village green, which is just next to the cemetery. And as he was being hung, he was like obviously moving around, like trying to get air and like fighting for his life, and he kicked his boots off. And they say that he comes back in search for his boots.
Oh,
now
wow.
there's got to be 20 years between hearing that at school and then hearing it again, obviously when I got into the paranormal. And I'm like, wow, I remember that story, and that's how I started going back to that cemetery. And it's probably the first place I unofficially investigated was there.
Wow.
And it's like, I love those sort of the local village stories about ghosts and ghouls and weird things that went on back in the day. And it's like, are they really real? You know, they're the best places, I think.
Well, that's kind of how I got into all the myths and legends side of it, was knowing about Gibbet Lane. I'm just down the road from Bella in the Wych Elm. Body was found in a hollow tree by some kids in the 50s.
Yeah.
And nobody knows whether she was a witch. Nobody knows the stories about her being a spy. The woods are really strange. There's witchcraft known in the area and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, knowing the local legends and finding out the truth within those legends, because they all start from somewhere, don't they? All the stories start from something that's true. So, and then the story builds around them. So it's really nice where you can go somewhere and you get an EVP go, no, I didn't do it.
Yeah, you're lying. Yeah. So have you ever been to Pendle Hill?
Yes, I actually went for the first time a couple of weeks ago. I went up to Scotland and thought, you know what, I've never been to Pendle, so I'm going to go and stop as I was on my way up. I had my selfie taken with Alice, the beautiful statue of Alice.
Oh, the statue, yeah. I went last Halloween and visited some of the locations, because I always thought Pendle Hill was just a hill. I didn't realise there was different sections of different little villages for what each part of the story. And I thought it was fascinating. I need to go back again. I loved it. The quarry where Demdike was supposed to summon the devil and all that. I went there. That was pretty active. That some dark stuff there. Yeah,
it's interesting how there's stories about different places, and you go there, and it's not necessarily that you expect it. It's almost anticipation. It's kind of like, well, I know the story, therefore there must be something there. Like I went to Volskin House recently, last week, and we did a bit of investigation on the road, because obviously you can't get in the house. And we were like, well, are we getting freaked out because we know where we are? So we did an experiment where we drove away from Volskin House, and on the way back, one of the guys was blindfolded. And we said, when you start feeling weird, tell us to stop. So we did that. It was about a mile. Twisty Highland roads up and down, and I was driving, speeding up and slowing down, so there was absolutely no way he could have worked out where we were. And we pulled up right outside the cemetery, which is right opposite Boskin House. And we did the same coming the other way. He said stop, and we thought, you're miles off. Really sorry, mate. Well done with the cemetery.
Yeah.
Pulled away and went, oh, there's Boskin. It was the gateway before the gateway to Boskin House. So that's interesting. None of us knew where we were in the car, including the guy wearing the blindfold.
That's crazy.
And then the next night, we did it from further away. I was blindfolded 8 miles from the house.
Ooh, yeah.
And I said stop 2 gateways away from the gateway to Boskin House.
That's
There's
amazing.
something in the area.
Yeah, you just pick up on it, and you can just get the vibe from this is not a good place, or there's something going on here that's not normal.
Yeah, because it was very much, are we spooking ourselves out because we know where we are? Well, let's find out.
Yeah. There is things that could be put into your head, like suggestion, and it just. Like, I remember the first time I ever went to the Ancient Ram Inn, because I'd seen the TV shows and all that. I was so scared. I was like trying to put protection on me, wearing all these rings and stuff, because I was scared. Like, because I'd watched the TV shows and heard all the rumors about the place, and that was when John was still alive and living there.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow. And it's like, it is bad that we believe all that. I think you should go, like you say, you go in blind, don't really know much about it, and you can get your own opinion on it and actually feel it for yourself, rather than, oh, I've got this bit of my brain knowing this happens, so I'm a bit scared to go in that room, like the Bishop's room, especially the most haunted room in the country. Never really had anything in there. I think the Witch's room is more active than the Bishop's room.
I've had it the other way around.
Oh, have you? Oh, okay then.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good then. Yeah, it's good that everybody has different experiences.
Yeah, but that's what it's about, isn't it? It's like ghosts are just people without bodies to me as a medium, because I see them as people in my mind's eye and talk to them like people, and sometimes they don't want to play and sometimes they do want to play. So everybody, different people get on with different people. So it's not like a ghost is going to interact, a spirit's not going to interact with everybody because they might not like the look of you. It's I think people forget that spirits are people. So if you walk into their house and go, right, what you
exactly,
come and play with my camera, come and stand here, it'd be like, well, no, piss off, it's my house.
Yeah.
So there's a respect, isn't it? It's like you wouldn't walk into a pub and demand somebody comes and stands in front of your camera, would you? Because you get your head knocked off.
Yeah.
So it's just treating them like people, I guess.
So with your mediumship, do you ever get a spirit? We'll call them a spirit that come to you very soon after their death to ask what happened, why am I here, or is it a reflection time? And
I personally never had it.
No.
I've had it in dreams, which I think is the crossover point. I think dreams are the point where you're more open and you're not looking for it, and you certainly with people, with relatives that have passed away.
Yeah.
I find it's usually the first contact you have with them as a spirit is in a dream, because they're not going to upset you. They don't want to upset you. But I think there's, to actually come and talk to you, I think there's a period of crossover. They've got to get their bearings, get themselves together, having crossed over to whatever's next. Yeah. I don't think you can immediately come back. I think it takes an amount of time to work out what you're capable of. A bit like the Matrix, like getting your head round being in the Matrix and making the jump, or like walking through a wall because it doesn't actually exist. I think it takes a while for a spirit to get their head round that bit.
I've never looked at it that way before. That's pretty cool. So do you have an idea of sort of what happens when we die, or an opinion?
No idea.
No.
I believe in reincarnation. I do believe in reincarnation, and I believe there are certain past life memories that we remember but don't remember. So subconsciously we remember them, or our bodies remember them. So that's as far as I've got. I see it as this life is part of a journey. It's not, so when this life ends, it's not the end.
No,
you just move on to the next phase of the journey, whether that's coming back here to learn more lessons, or whether that's going somewhere else, or becoming somebody's spirit guide, or whatever. I don't really know. And to be honest, it'd be quite a nice, exciting journey.
Yeah, I suppose they always say you'll never know the real truth until it happens, until you do pass over.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I'd like to think that we sort of know we've got some sort of idea anyway. You know, I think that's quite good in what we do.
Yeah, I think there's an awful lot of investigators that I know, or people into the paranormal, that aren't scared of death, because we spend all our spare time talking to dead people. So it's not like it's a scary thing. It's like, oh, okay, I'll come back and haunt you.
Yeah. It's have you ever had a past life regression?
Yes, and I actually do them myself. So
I do. Oh wow.
Yeah, as part of a guided meditation is the way I do it. But yeah, the first one I had, it was totally unexpected. I was a kid running through a forest away from a castle. I'd obviously done something, and there were dogs chasing me. And a deer came out of nowhere and hid in a hollow tree, and I followed the deer and hid in the tree, and the dogs ran past me. And that was it. Oh. So I don't know what that means. I've obviously got kicked out of the castle, or was legging it for some reason.
That's crazy.
But I think, again, going back to dreams, I think some really strong recurring dreams, I think, are past life memories.
Yeah, I very much think that's all linked somewhere along the way. Because I always say that you have all your friendship group and family group, they're the same throughout all your lives. They're just the other way around. Like your mum is your brother, and your dad is your sister, or your son. You know, it's I don't know if I believe in that, but I suppose there are some people you randomly meet and you feel like you've known them forever. Isn't there? I mean, there must be some sort of connection in that. Yeah.
And there's people that come into your life, and then you do one big thing together, and then they move on.
Yeah.
It's just how it's meant to be.
Yeah, they've done what they were supposed to do for you.
And you for them as well.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's like it's on their journey, and it's time to move on. But
yeah,
it's crazy, the paranormal world, and what lies, and we don't know everything, and I think that's part of the allure as well, because there is so much we are learning every single day that we do this.
Yeah,
you know, nobody knows everything, and like you say, there's mediums, there's psychics, there's investigators, there's skeptics, there's people that never experience anything. Every week they go out and they never experience anything. And I think it's so good that everybody can experience something different. Because if it was all the same, it'd be so boring, wouldn't it?
Yeah, we'd do it for a couple of weeks and then get bored, wouldn't we?
Yeah, because we've all seen that ghost walking over there, and we've all had that voice saying "go away," and you know, answering all our questions. It'd be so boring.
Yeah, and I don't think we're meant to know exactly what happens next. I don't think we'll ever.
Do you think we'd be able to cope with it? Maybe that's why.
Yeah, maybe we'd all go, do you know what? Let's just top ourselves, because that's it. It's like, I want to move on to the next thing. There's no point being here anymore because that looks better. So
exactly, I've heard people say that before. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think we're meant to know. And maybe it changes for different people. Maybe what is coming next for you isn't what's coming next for me. Maybe it's all different.
Yeah.
Because I'm convinced there isn't one answer to paranormal stuff. There isn't one answer to apparitions. And I think by looking for, it's an EMF increase and a temperature decrease and it's a spirit that's stuck, I think we're kind of almost doing it with one hand tied behind our back, because you then, again, you're closing your mind, that you're looking for stuff that fits that one narrative. Whereas I think there's loads of different reasons for paranormal activity, whether it's time slips or physiology, just like your eyeball vibrating and it makes your brain think you're seeing something and it's just infrasound, or I think there's loads of different explanations.
A lot of people say it's all down to psychology within the mind. It's in your mind, and your mind is seeing these things and they're not actually there, because whatever you're dealing with in life, this is the outcome really of how your brain deals with things. You know, I think that's part of it. I'd like to think it wasn't all that, and there is an afterlife, because I think, like we said before, it'd be very dull if it was just that, and it'd be quite scary, because I used to think, if there is no afterlife, that's it. It's just blackness and nothing. You know, but then your energy's got to go somewhere. So
yeah, that's it. The first rule of physics, isn't it? Energy cannot be created or destroyed.
Yeah, exactly.
Turn into another kind of energy. So yeah, but that's like you say, that's what keeps us going. Is there isn't an answer that everybody knows, and everybody experiences things in a different way.
I really, that's a big part of the paranormal for me. So we first met finally at Parameet in Somerset.
Yes.
Bath, Somerset, yeah. And one of the talks you did, obviously we had talks going on throughout the 2 days, and your talk was about fairies, I believe.
Small folk, yes.
Yeah, I, leading up to that, I'm thinking, oh, okay, don't really believe in fairies, but I'll watch it, support you and all that. I was fascinated. I was like, oh my God, it's so cool. And the way you went in depth about all these fairies, and the fact did you say they used to help, like Santa Claus and the little...
Yeah, there's all sorts of stories, yeah.
I was like, wow.
Oh, it's going back to the myths and legends again, looking at all the local myths and legends. It's what I tend to do with... I teach for University Magicus, so most of my talks are based in archaeology or written down history. Yeah. So it's finding the little grains of truth, going, well, there must be something. Why does the whole globe believe in dragons, or the whole globe believe in fairies? There's got to be something. It's not like one drunk bloke one evening goes, oh, there's little people at the bottom of the garden. And everybody goes, oh, yeah, right, Jock. Yeah, whatever. It's like everybody, universally, there is something in each culture that believes in small folk, whether that's fairies, gnomes, elves, whatever you want, pixies, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
And like spirits, I guess, are gnomes, fairies, elves the same thing, just we've got different labels for them.
Yeah, just in different form.
Yeah.
That's, before your talk I would have laughed, but then listening to that, I was thinking, oh my God. Like I said, I was just so fascinated at what you were talking about, and the knowledge you have on it, it just blew me away. I sat there thinking, wow.
I'm glad.
I thought this is cool. So obviously, how long have you been, I suppose, researching about fairies, small folk?
I guess it's a side shoot, because I'm a huge Tolkien geek. I love Tolkien.
Yeah.
And looking at how he wrote the books. So how did he get to where all the ideas for Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and that kind of thing?
Yeah.
And I've always been interested in like Celtic myths and legends, like King Arthur.
Yeah.
And then I found out that Tolkien was a huge fan of myths and legends. So a lot of his research for Lord of the Rings was taken from various different myths and legends, the sagas, so Anglo-Saxon stories, Norse stories, Celtic stories. And you can kind of, if you then read the source material, so the prose Edda and the poetic Edda, which are the ones that were written in Iceland, that they reckon is like the first written down version of all the Viking sagas.
Yeah.
You can start picking out like, oh, that's where he got that name from. And if you read about this god, that fits in with how Gandalf was. So things like the orcs and the elves, there's all sorts of stories that kind of feed back into, I recognise bits and go, that's where Tolkien got the idea for. So I think I guess it's because my brain likes jigsaw puzzles. It doesn't actually like jigsaw puzzles. It likes historical jigsaw puzzles, putting the bits together.
Yeah.
Like reading Lord of the Rings, you've got the picture, and you've got to find where all the little bits come from to make the full picture. And yeah, I picked up the Poetic Edda, and the first chapter is all the characters in the Norse sagas, and there's Gandalf, and there's all the names of the dwarves, and this, that, and the other. And then you start looking at the Norse creation myth, talking about the elves and the two levels of gods, and that's in the Silmarillion. So Tolkien lifted it. So I'm not necessarily into small folk. I just find it's cultural. The Scandinavians believe you have a house elf.
Oh, like Harry Potter.
Yeah, that's where she got the idea from. Yeah. So every household has their own personal elf or little person. And then again, if you look at Middle Eastern stories, they're into exactly the same thing. They have, my brain's gone and I can't remember the term for it now, but they have their own family spirit. And you have to keep them happy. If you don't keep them happy, things go missing in the house or things break. So you leave them gifts.
Yeah.
A bit like the borrowers, I guess. Like
yes.
Yeah. Keep them happy, and then that keeps the house happy, and nothing evil gets into the house because they're looking after the house for you. So you don't need protection on your house. Your house elf does it for you.
See, I never thought these sort of things were based on a real thing.
I just find it fascinating how it all kind of melds together, and yeah, there's got to be something of a nub of a truth somewhere.
Have you ever been like? Do you purposely go looking for these sort of mystical lands like Cornwall and?
I've got fairies at the bottom of my garden.
Yes,
I have been to Iceland. Yeah, I've got fairies at the bottom of my garden. It was, I can't remember when it was that I first saw them. It was sat out on a summer evening, beautiful summer evening, sat out having a drink with a bonfire, and there were all these little lights, different coloured fairy lights, I guess, tiny pinpricks of light, different colours, dancing around, and I'm like, okay, what are they? So I did a bit of reading up, and it was like, yeah, they're fairy lights. Okay, I'm not going to tell anybody because everybody's going to think I've lost it. Then I went to somewhere near Worcester. It was one of these eco holiday places, and they did forest craft and woodworking, and they were camped in a big field that dropped down onto the River Severn with hedgerows in between the campsite areas. And me and a friend saw these lights again, and I'm like, okay, maybe there is something to it. But yeah, you said Iceland. If you go to somewhere like Iceland, they believe in all sorts of things: trolls, fairies. They will move a road. They won't build a road if they think it's going through fairyland, because they don't want to piss off the fairies.
Yeah,
they're not nice. They're not nice, happy things. They're a bit kind of mischievous, and if you don't look after them, they won't look after you. So
they're a bit naughty.
Yeah.
Don't annoy them. Yeah.
Like the piskies in Harry Potter.
Yes. Yeah, the little flying ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, because my family are Cornish, so I grew up learning about obviously King Arthur, Merlin. I recently went to Tintagel and to Merlin's cave, and I love all like the mystical lands. Glastonbury is another very spiritual place. I think we're quite lucky in this country that we do have some amazing places that people can go and study and learn about these sort of things.
Yeah, and things like I mentioned the Tommy knockers in my talk, in the mines, the
Yes.
spirits of the dead miners that kept the miners safe or warned them when there was going to be a collapse, or which is why you leave the crust bit of your pasty for the Tommy knockers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just love it. I love it.
It's definitely a story that I think more people should learn about, because I find it fascinating. Definitely.
Well, that's kind of why I set up my tour company, was to show people, take people places, and tell them the stories that I've researched. So why is this burial mound called Dragon Hill? Why is this Neolithic stone circle related to witchcraft? And I just find it amazing that everything because there's been humanity on this little rock for so long, the way we look back at past history, I mean, we think we know it all now, but when you put yourself in the shoes of somebody who's an Anglo-Saxon, they thought all the Roman buildings were inhabited by ghosts because they were built of stone, and the Saxons didn't know how to build out of stone, so it must be something godlike.
Oh, wow.
To be able to build these amazing stone buildings. There must be giants or ghosts or something. Yeah, I just find it, I love it. And to be able to share that with people and make, like you, like go, oh, wow, okay. I'd never thought of it like that.
Yeah, you've totally changed my mind on that particular subject, so thank you.
I'm glad because it does seem like really wacky, and I have to be careful who I tell. I've got fairies at the bottom of my garden. But yeah, when you do the research, and like I said, looking at all the little grains of truth and putting them all together, it's like, well, there's got to be something. There's got to be something.
Yeah, why not? We believe in ghosts. Some people believe in the Loch Ness monster, Bigfoot, aliens. You know, why can't there be fairies as well? It's just one of the folklore. Yeah. So why not?
Tree spirits, and water spirits, and all sorts of different things. Poltergeist, and I think you've just got to be open-minded, and you experience something, you don't immediately go, well, that was a load of rubbish. Like, try and be open-minded enough to experience it for what it is, and then go, okay, I don't know what that was. What could it be?
Yeah.
And then that's your starting point, rather than going, oh no, I must have had too much to drink, or I'm tired, or I've been looking at my phone screen for too long, and that's when I've looked up, this is what's happened. Just be open-minded about it. Experience it for what it is.
Yeah, and embrace it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'll learn and progress so much more if you just, let's see where this takes me,
Yeah.
Definitely.
Be a child about it. Going back to being a child, like seeing what happens when you jump in a puddle, or dance in the rain, or just that joyful kind of, I don't know what this is, but I love it.
Yeah, the innocence, I suppose.
Yeah.
Isn't it? So, do you believe in aliens?
If you'd have asked me 5 years ago, I'd have said no.
Okay.
5 years ago, I would have said, probability says there is other life out there, just because the universe is so vast. We can't be the only rock in the universe that has some kind of life form.
Yeah.
I always thought, why the hell would they want to come and visit us? What's the point in them coming here?
Yeah.
I still don't know the answer to that question, but I now, having had 2 experiences, believe that there is something that comes and observes, comes and looks at us every so often, or whatever.
Oh wow, you've had 2 experiences. Let's go into that area then.
Well, the first one was the classic lights in the sky.
Yeah.
I was at a pub in Mid Wales doing investigation. We've been called in by the landlord saying there was stuff going on and wanted us to come and have a look. And I think it was the second time we'd been there, and he said, "Oh, come and look at the little cottages that I'm turning into holiday lets." So we were like, "Oh yeah, let's go and have a look." So we were walking around what used to be a bowling green to look at these little cottages, and so there's a big expanse of green, which was the bowling green, and then low trees.
Yeah.
And as we were walking back to the pub, these lights came above tree line. And I thought, oh, it's just drones.
Yeah.
And then there were more lights appeared. And then more lights appeared. And it's like, okay, that's weird. I can't hear drones. By this point, there were 3 of us all together, and we were all looking at these lights going, what's that? Yeah. And I said, oh, I thought it was drones. The guy who owns the pub said, it can't be drones, because just the other side of that field is protected airspace. It's one of the bomb research factories or something. They do some kind of secret squirrel petrochemical stuff. So it's protected airspace. As we were talking about this, these drones went into one light, then divided up, and then zoomed off. No sound. And it's like, well, that wasn't drones. Then what drones was it?
No, they're quite noisy.
Yeah, there was no or anything. When we like in the middle of Wales, so there's no sound. Couldn't hear anything. And the speed at which they took off, it wasn't a drone. It wasn't drones.
No.
I don't know what it was. And then the second experience was in between lockdowns. I went up the Long Mynd, doing some stargazing, trying to take some photos of the Milky Way and that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Sat at the top of the Long Mynd with my friend Laurie in the car, and this silver tic-tac type shaped thing was moving across the sky, and it was moving slow enough that we sat there and watched it. Then my brain went, take a photo. Took a photo. Then I was like, oh, let's see if I can take a video. The video didn't come out because it was too dark.
Okay.
Rolled the windows down. Again, couldn't hear any sound. And now up the top of the Long Mynd, you can hear the motorway that's like 40 miles away. But this, whatever it was, had no sound. There were no lights on it. It was reflecting the light of the full moon. And it was just travelling across in front of us. Like, that's kind of speed. And I'm looking for ropes, thinking it's an advertising loop that's broken free. I'm looking for like the basket underneath, because is it one of these airship things? But yeah, so no idea what that was either. But I couldn't tell how big it was or how far away it was, because there was nothing to give it any scale.
No.
Because it was just up in the sky, and there's no trees or anything else. Definitely wasn't an aircraft. Definitely wasn't a helicopter. So who knows what that was?
So, I think there's aliens. Like you said, I think we'd be very naive if we didn't think that there could be some sort of life in this massive universe. It's unlimited as far as we know.
Yeah.
You know. But then they do say that obviously the military have all these vehicles and flying objects that they test out. We have no idea what capability they have, because obviously it's a secret. So it could be these. You know, I remember when NASA did didn't they do a live link on the moon? Like, they were filming the moon on like a live stream, and they kept having to shut it down because there was spaceships flying around the moon, and it's like, oh shit, you know. We're not supposed to tell everybody about this, and they kept turning it off. It had shut it down for a few hours, and then it'd come back up again. And it's just like, wow. But there's a lot of people that do think that the paranormals, especially ghosts and spirits, that is a possibility that they could be aliens. You know, a lot of I've heard from people that have been to George Jarvis, and they've seen an alien grey in that building.
Oh wow.
And I think that could be, who's to say what we do see? I mean, a lot of the time they are quite large shadow figures. I mean, we don't know. I think they do you think there could be some sort of link there?
There could. I mean, one of my theories about paranormal stuff is string theory. So it's almost like bleed between time, because time isn't linear. We just think it's linear because that's easy to get our brain around. I think time's like folded and wrapped around each other. So where it touches and gets too close, it might be that there's a bleed through.
Yeah.
So are we actually seeing our future selves and interpreting them as aliens, whereas past selves we see as people, therefore Victorian or whatever? Is that the reason? Is it just because the space time is rubbing and there's a bleed in between the different times?
Yeah, and someone's come through into our world, our time, and then they go back again.
Likewise, yeah.
Yeah, same as us. Yeah.
I mean, there's all sorts of stories about photographs with future people in the photograph using mobile phones. And,
yeah, I've seen them. They're quite interesting.
Yeah, people walking down a tunnel and then ending up in Victorian London and walking back and then trying to go back down the tunnel, and they're not in Victorian London. They've just walked through the tunnel. There's all sorts of stories about that. So I'm wondering if there is some kind of time explanation, and maybe if they are beings from another planet, that's how they travel. They don't need a craft. They travel through time.
Yeah.
Or it's us, our future selves, what future humans look like. Maybe we evolve into greys. Don't know.
Never thought of that. Yeah, and then when our time comes, we go off somewhere.
Maybe that's what
another planet. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's what these spacecrafts are. They're coming to collect the souls of dead people. Who knows?
Wow.
Who knows? I'm totally open-minded. I'm like,
bring it all in.
Yeah. Throw it all on the floor and see what sticks.
Yeah, you're talking about time slips and that. I reckon that could be it, you know. I mean, like I say, there could be times when the time goes far away and then it's close. And when we're in the dark talking to air, the other people in the other time, they can hear it and they're like, hello? They poke their head through or whatever, say hello, and then disappear back again. And maybe that's a response on an EVP, maybe, you know.
And who's the ghost?
Exactly. They might be normal like we are. They might be living whatever their time is, and they can just come in. Maybe it's in a dream state, and the same with us when we go somewhere. I mean, who knows? It's just, it's a rabbit hole now. I have to turn my brain off. Oh dear. Oh, anyway, we'll go back to the tour. I noticed you have been advertising the tour lately with a certain lady from America. Who's quite well known in the paranormal field. So if you'd like to chat about that, that'd be great.
Yes, it's been something I've been thinking about for a long time. Like I said, sharing history, paranormal, spirituality, it all kind of bundles into one. And to make a living out of doing something that you love, I think is amazing. So it was like, well, why not give it a shot? Yeah. And I was lucky enough to meet Patty 2 years ago now, and got to know her really well because I met her again a few months later. And
so this is Patty Negri, isn't it?
Patty Negri, yes.
Yeah, it's been on Ghost Adventures, etc. Yeah.
Yeah. She asked me to teach for her University Magicus. She is part owner of the University Magicus. And when I kind of got round to going, right, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do tours, I asked her and she's like, yeah, that would be amazing.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, I set up Phantasm Tours, and the first tour starts on the 11th September.
Oh, wow. It's not long then.
Yes. No, which is why I'm pushing it. I'm like, buy tickets. It's going to be cool.
Are you ready? Are you ready for this tour? How long is it going to go on for? And where are the locations? Are they far apart? Is there lots of them?
It's for a week. So it's 6 nights and 7 days. So we start in the Midlands. And in fact, we're starting off with cream tea at Sinai House.
Oh, nice.
The theme of the tour is witches and dragons, the weird and wyrms, going back to Saxon terms. Then we go across to Wales and do Craigienos Castle, Castle Coch and Caerphilly Castle. Then we go up to Pendle and do Lancaster Castle. Then we're coming back down through the Cotswolds, all the way down to Boscastle Museum of Witchcraft and Bombing Jail. Then we're doing Glastonbury and Wookey Hole and Cheddar Gorge, and then back up through the Cotswolds, looking at there's a church that's linked with witchcraft, and then back up to the Midlands. So we're doing two overnight investigations, one in Bakewell and the other one at Craggy Nuss. And we're doing a ritual in the Stone Circle. So all of that's included. All the hotels are haunted. We're staying at haunted hotels. So it's going to be amazing.
That sounds awesome,
It's going to be absolutely incredible. And it's £1,800. So it's bed and breakfast, amazing haunted hotels, all the location entrance fees and tours are all included. We start with a cream tea, we end with a cream tea. So the first cream tea at Sinai is included, and then the last cream tea, which is at the Talbot in Stourbridge, which is also very, very haunted, those are included. There's a couple of dinners that are included, so, and all the travel and stuff is included as well. So it's a bargain for what you get.
That sounds amazing.
And me as an archaeologist and a witch, and then Patty as well.
So will you be doing like the tours and the talks, or do you have other guides as well in the location?
I've got other guys as well. Yeah. There's some of them that I will be doing. The ritual, Patty and I are leading the ritual in the Stone Circle. Okay. There's a few like little myths and legends that I'm going to be doing the tour of. But the big places like Lancaster Castle, we're going on the official tour at Lancaster Castle.
Okay.
I'm hoping that Thomas, is it Broad? He's researching the Potts family at Pendle, and I'm hoping he'll be able to do a tour for me around Pendle and around the area. So it's a mixture. Nice. Some of it's tours from the people at the places, where it's just like a mountain or a field or whatever. I'm doing the tours.
That's amazing. That sounds such a good time. And when does that start? 11th, did you say? 11th September? 11th
of September. So it's Wednesday to the Tuesday. So it's 7 days, 6 nights.
That's going to be one hectic week. I bet it goes really quickly, It'll just be a blur.
Yeah.
You'll be like, did I go away for a week?
Yeah. But Patty's amazing. Patty is so lovely. She's so open and willing to share things. So, like, I think all the way through, we're going to be doing all sorts of different bits and pieces, witchcraft related or investigation, because she's a really good investigator as well. So, to organise the investigations, which the Boo Brothers are coming in to help me with those. They're bringing all the kit and stuff. But I'm sure we're going to be doing other ones that, like, sat in the hotel at 9 o'clock at night going, let's see if we can get some ghosties.
Yeah, every night it's going to be a ghost hunt.
Yeah.
Official or not.
Yeah. Which is why I chose the haunted hotels, because it's like, they're amazing hotels anyway. Like the one in Buxton we're staying at, Elizabeth I stayed at. So they're all like incredibly old buildings, all old manor houses or old buildings, old mills and stuff. Yeah, so I'm really excited.
I'm not surprised. I wish I'd actually booked on that, to be fair, but
still got tickets.
I got to have money first. But I think whoever books on that is going to have such an awesome time, because a paranormal road trip, as it were, with all witchcraft and investigations. I mean, what more could you want? This is incredible. Is this would you think this would be like a regular thing each year you would do, or try something different?
It'll be because I've got so many different ideas of tours, because I'm interested in so many different things. So I'm hoping to do Iceland next year.
Oh wow.
And I want to do a Viking themed tour. So all the places around that with the Viking related. And I mean, I went to where was it? Coalhouse Fort in Essex.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to be investigating this Napoleonic fort, and I'm looking out in the water going, there's Viking boats out there. So there are Viking ghosts out there. Daniel's Mill, I came across some Vikings as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, really randomly. Yeah, but looking it up, it was when Ethelflaed, the Saxons, were kind of beating the Vikings back up north.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did do research because that was so kind of like way out there. It's like, why are the Vikings in Bridgnorth? And there was a battle around there. So yeah, so I want to do Vikings. I want to do Marcher Lords. So the area between Wales and England where all the castles are, the Welsh marches. There was a huge amount of turbulence in that area. Is it British? Is it English? Is it Welsh? And all the Owengendower and all that kind of stuff. Llewellyn and so I've got loads of ideas of tours and things. I might do a Beatles one. So I'm hoping to make it a regular thing. Along with, I've just started doing set up for next year witchy retreats, witchy weekends.
Okay.
So a nice chilled weekend in a nice youth hostel that is very haunted. Doing like mini rituals, like learning to read. Scrying, little spells, how to charge your crystals, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, nice. That sounds good. It's good that you can go off to these little areas of the paranormal, and obviously you've got a lot of passion for them. So it's good that you can keep going and branch off into different areas and still enjoy it and still make it as like a career. I'd say. I mean, that's
crossed.
Brilliant. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so going back to your researching and your stories, is there any paranormal stories that you think are not genuine that you've heard about?
There's a lot of stories around Judge Jeffreys, hanging Judge Jeffreys.
He was everywhere, wasn't he?
Except he wasn't.
Yeah.
I mean, the one that sticks in my head is the Skirrid with
he was supposed to be at the back,
stairs.
wasn't he? Yeah.
No, he never went there. Never went there.
No.
But it's one of those things that's kind of built into paranormal myth. It's always like it's got its own length. So many people have experienced. There is a judge there, but it's not Jeffreys. And they did do hangings, but not on the staircase. So
you'll be telling me that noose isn't real next.
Well, it isn't. It's it's not in the right place.
I've heard that. No, it's not. It's
never
not there,
hang people off a staircase.
No, I take it the internal parts of the building have not been altered that much. Then
there's bits of it that have, you've got the main bar at the front, and then the restaurant, and then you go down the big steps to go to the toilets and out the back door.
Yeah,
I think some of that is later edition, and I say later, I mean like 17th century, 18th century later. The upstairs has been knocked around, obviously, because I think that was one big room, and obviously the bathrooms have been added in and all that kind of stuff. So, my archaeology degree does come in handy sometimes. Going, no, there shouldn't be a wall there.
Yeah, because Judge Jeffreys is supposed to be at the Skirrid, Derby Jail, Gallows of Justice. You know, probably loads more in Nottingham as well. And it's just
I don't know if he actually went to Nottingham, but I do know he didn't go to the Skirrid. He wasn't in Wales at all.
It's like Cromwell. He was at every location as well, wasn't he? It's like, Cromwell's been there. It's like, really? Again? He gets his miles in, especially on his horse. You know?
Yes. So Dick Turpin's another one, isn't it?
Exactly. I mean, it's crazy.
There's a highwayman here. Oh, it must be Dick Turpin.
Yeah, that'll do. Right on the wall.
Yeah.
So do you have, when you're going into like an investigation, do you have a pre-investigation ritual, something that you have to do to clear your mind or anything? No, just turn up and get on with it.
Yeah, and I find I have found that if I spend like 2 minutes, it tends to be when everybody does the history tour. You know how you get to a location and the owners or the caretakers want to show you all around and
Yeah.
say, oh, this happens here, this happens here. I always go, can I please miss it? Because obviously you're going to then feed me all this information and I don't want to know it. And I can then spend 5-10 minutes just sat listening to the building, tuning in. And that's usually if there's somebody who wants to talk or more than one people want to talk, they will come forwards. So it's almost within 5 minutes of me walking in a building, I can go, okay, there's something up there in that room. There's something in there in that room. There's somebody over there. There's a bloke over here. There's a horse in the grounds. And it's that fresh spur of the moment thing. If I think about it too long, it's almost like overthinking it.
Yeah.
But I don't kind of sit in the car and go, do 10 deep breaths and whatever. I've never had anything like that I've done. No. I guess it's just, I switch it on and switch it off.
That's good. Yeah, so you have like an on-off switch.
Well, it's more like turning the volume down.
Oh, okay. So like if you're in your house and you're watching Emmerdale or whatever, and then spirits do they still come to see you? Or
my house is protected. I've got a poltergeist in the loft, but my house is protected.
Okay. Yeah. Oh wow.
When I have if I have a new friend to stay and he doesn't recognise them or a new person around, he'll drag furniture around up there that doesn't exist, and makes a loud noise. But he's allowed only in the loft. I met him in the garage one day and said, look, if you don't stay in the loft, you're out. And ever since then, he's just stayed in the attic. But the rest of my house is protected. So it's my safe space. I don't want randoms coming off the street go, I need you to tell Auntie Joan this.
Okay.
So that's my downtime. But like walking up and down the high street, I can suddenly like go, oh, what was that?
Yeah. Wow.
It's like having the radio on in the background. You're not really listening to it, but every so often something will catch your attention.
Yeah, certain words, and it's like, oh, what was that? Yeah, sparks your interest. Yeah. So that's how it is for me. I've got the volume turned right down, but every so often something will catch my interest or pique my curiosity and be like, oh, what was that? So this poltergeist, do you know much about him, or has he told you anything? His age, like what he looks like?
I don't think he was ever human. I think he's more of an elemental, energetic thing.
Okay.
He presented as a man wearing a flat cap, but I think that was just him like showing me. I don't know whether that was what he wanted. Whether it was how he wanted to be seen or whether it was to freak me out a little less. I don't know. But it's more like, it's not quite shadow. It's more like Predator. You know, it's see-through, but you can see the edges.
Yeah.
Like
Okay. Yeah.
like looking through a bubble of water kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh
wow.
But I don't know where he's come from because I've never kind of entertained. It's just like, no, you stay up there. I'm not interested.
You keep making your noise. I'll stay down here. Yeah. So what's the proudest moment you've experienced in the paranormal on your journey so far that you could say? If one thing would be like, that I was really, that is like the pinnacle. Put you on the spot now, haven't I?
Yeah, you have. Can I have two?
Have as many as you want.
I think the first one was being asked to be guest speaker at the Paracon last year, at Parameet last year.
Yeah.
Neil was, will you be a speaker? And I was like, yeah, what do you want me to talk about? And he's like, whatever you want. So that was quite a proud moment. I think it was the first time that it occurred to me that people who knew who I was and had the trust in me to give an interesting talk. So that was cool. And the other one was when Patty asked me to speak at her university, teach at University Magicus. And again, it was, well, what do you want me to teach about? And she's like, whatever you want. And I'm like, okay, this is Patty Negri asking me to teach.
That's
Yeah,
that's nice that they have that faith in you to say, you know,
yeah,
you have judgment on that. You know, we're fully behind you.
yeah. And I think that was
Such a
because I do
nice
kind of,
feeling.
yeah, because there's so many people who do the paranormal and are very good at it and do investigations. So to be picked and kind of like, yeah, fill your boots. We trust you. Do whatever you want.
Yeah,
It was,
that's awesome.
yeah,
So I bet that's such a nice feeling. And sometimes I experience this myself, where I go through stages where I doubt myself and how
yeah,
I'm doing and that, and to have people support you, and I think that's brilliant. That's what we should be, bigging each other up and supporting each other in this field.
yeah. But there's so much jealousy, and I mean, you know yourself, like, oh, don't talk to them because they work with so and so, and
Yes, very much so.
you've been on TV, so I'm jealous of you, so I'm going to try everything I can to bring you down, and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff. It's like, yeah, that's why I like Parameet so much, because it's nobody's there to be a name, nobody's there to be look who I am. It's
no.
all about I'm interested in this, and oh my god, your talk was really interesting, or oh, like we did, it was like, oh my god, I've been friends with you on Facebook for years, finally
Yeah.
in person.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd never been to a parameet at all, and this was the first one I'd been to. And it was so nice to see, like, all the people, like you say, known on social media, never met them. So I ticked loads of boxes there. And then you got all the stalls of the people you know that sell stuff like magazines, like ghostly items, you know, all
Yeah,
the cushions and pictures people were selling. And then you got all the people doing their talks and speeches, all different, all individual, and it's all unique. And I got so much out of that. It's such a positive thing for me.
yeah.
And yeah, I think they're brilliant. I think they should do more of them, to be fair. But you know.
Well, next year, talking about plans for the tours and stuff, Neil's actually asked me to arrange Parameet Europe. So
Oh
he's asked me to
wow,
sort out a
exclusive!
weekend. Oh no,
Oh wow!
he has released it.
Oh, is he? Oh, okay.
On
Damn.
the Sunday. On the Sunday at Parameet, he did say
Oh, okay.
we're going to Romania for a weekend, and
Oh, I've seen him post on Facebook about that. Who would go to Dracula's
yeah,
castle and all that? Yeah, yeah. Oh, is that what it was about?
yes,
Ah, fair play.
so we're
Okay.
doing Castle Bran,
Yeah, yeah.
an investigation at Castle Bran, and I've got another couple of castles up my sleeve for during the day. So it'll be like Saturday to Sunday, with an investigation on Saturday night at Castle Bran. So that would be awesome. And
Ooh,
Sandy Lapdar has agreed to come over and
yeah.
help out as well. So that would be really cool.
Oh, nice. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, nice. So I've got 2 questions left for you. First one: we're getting on a plane or we're going somewhere. Yeah. Anywhere in the world, any location you want to go to. Where are we going?
Gettysburg,
The battlefield.
battlefield, Gettysburg. And that my answer will change. I can't remember. I did a podcast a few years ago and somebody asked me where would you want to investigate? And the answer then
Yeah.
was Tower of London, but it changes depending on what I've read and what I've seen recently. Like at the moment,
Yeah.
it's Gettysburg.
But you can get there. You can investigate there. So
Yeah.
that helps from the Tower of London.
Yes. Yes.
You know, yeah, that's a good one. I've seen many TV shows have been there, YouTube videos, and there's so much activity. I remember I can't remember what show I was watching. It was on TV, and they captured the cannonball gunshots on voice recorder. And
Yes. I think there's been a couple of teams who've got that.
it's like wow, you know, in the midst of battle, that's crazy. To capture something like that would be like, for me, that's just like, well, you can't get better than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my last question of this podcast: if you could get rid of one thing in the paranormal, it's gone forever, see you later, what would it be?
Ego.
Yeah.
We're all in it for the same reason. We're all, well, I'd like to think we're all in it for the same reason. We're all in it to find out what happens. What is paranormal? What are we experiencing?
Yeah.
So I would love to get rid of, whether it means getting rid of paranormal TV or whatever, I don't know, but like get rid of the whole, I'm better than you, I've been doing it longer than you, I know more than you.
Yeah.
Nobody knows anything. Nobody knows anything.
No. Because it's not it's not fact yet, is it?
No.
So it's just what we can sort of ascertain from investigating. So we're all investigators.
And we all investigate in slightly different ways. So we all ought to be doing it together to learn from each other. Like, oh, I've never thought about using that before. Or like my current favourite bit of equipment is a bivy alarm. It's just a motion sensor. But it's 3 motion sensors with a base station. So you can set the alarms off in locked off rooms, and then you carry the sensor around with you. So when one of them goes off, you know something's moving in that room.
Oh, wow. Never heard of that.
They're just fishermen's bivy alarms. So it's you put them around your bivy when you're doing night fishing, so nobody comes and steals your tackle.
Yeah.
And they're just motion sensors. And what I tend to do is put a wildlife camera next to the PIR sensor.
Yeah.
So the theory being, if the bivy alarm goes off, it should trigger the wildlife camera.
Yeah.
And the great thing about the bivy alarm is they're designed to be used where there's a load of insects, moths, spiders.
Yes. So
flies.
Anything like that will not set it off.
Yeah. It has to be a mouse or something to set it off, something that size. So,
that's a great idea. Yeah.
But like it was a fisherman friend of mine brought Alan Smith brought his along to an investigation. I'm like, I need a set.
That looks cool.
Yeah. And then I've done it before where I've been waiting for the team to arrive. I've got the keys and I've sat there by myself and I've set the bivy alarms up.
Yeah.
And I've sat in one place. And I know I'm the only person in a locked building. So why are these lights going on and off? Why are the sensors being triggered? So
there's lots of people in the paranormal that say that certain equipment shouldn't be used, like K2s, the REM pods, and all that, because they're not. Cat balls, because they're designed to do this stuff. Whereas torches, cameras, voice recorders, they are. Excuse me. We're using them as they're made to do that. They are doing the job they're made to do, rather than, in theory, designing equipment to be used to speak to or to detect the possibility of a spirit. But we don't know what a spirit is. So there's but this alarm that you're talking about, that's doing the exact job it's designed and built to do. So I think people are more inclined to start using that equipment now. I can see a decline in the big, like REM pods, the expensive equipment, and I think people are going a bit back to basics now more recently.
Yeah. But I mean, if I haven't got any problem with people using cat balls, if you understand how they work and what they do, what's the harm in using it?
Yeah.
It's like people saying, "Oh, I've just caught an orb on camera." If they believe it's an orb and that gives them like impetus to keep going, what's the harm in it?
I used to do that back in the day.
We've all done it. Yeah.
My first digital camera, I used to turn all the lights off in my house. I used to go around with a flash on, taking pictures in the dark. Oh my God, it's an orb. I used to do that. And that's how I kept going, like you say.
Yeah. You want to know answers. You want to find out, well, why? Why am I getting photographs of orbs? What is an orb? Yeah. And you then research and you talk to other people who've been doing it longer, and they go, oh, well, yeah, some orbs are, and some maybe it's photographic artifacts and this, that, and the other. So that's how you learn. I don't think we should get on somebody's back just because they use a mobile phone app. If that's what you want to do and that's how you enjoy ghost hunting, then do it.
Exactly. But yeah, so Liz, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. It's been such an eye-opening experience. Awesome. If you'd like to tell people where they can find you on your socials, that'd be great. Yes,
Liz Legrinis Cormell. Legrinis is on the screen at the moment on Facebook. Liz.Legrinis on Instagram. phantasmtours.com is the tour company. So phantasm.tours Instagram and Phantasm Tours official on Facebook.
Awesome. And these tickets are still available, are they?
They're available until Sunday. Sundays, that's at midnight going into Monday. That's it. No more tickets. If you go onto phantasmtours.com and go in the store, the Tour of the Weird and Werums is the one. If you put LIZ24, you get £700 knocked off the price that's on the website.
Oh, wow. That's a lot.
Yes. So it takes it down to 1,800 instead of 2,500.
Oh, okay. Nice.
And if people want to do a weekend, they can do a weekend, do the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I can sort out a price for that as well. So, yeah. Or pop along for a day, or just do an investigation, because I'm advertising the investigations as separate events as well now.
Okay, and you'll be doing more of these tours in the future, hopefully.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. So stay tuned, people, to Liz's website, etc., and go follow her. So, thank you so much for joining me this evening. It's been brilliant.
Thank you for having me.
And I will see you soon. See you in a bit. So there you go, guys. What an amazing episode. Go follow Liz on all the socials. She's got some great stories, great history. She knows her stuff. So make sure you go follow her. Get on the tour. Book something for next year. I'm sure it'll be up soon. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. Another great episode. Please go and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are slowly building. This is a new podcast, and I appreciate all the feedback. We've had lots of feedback, lots of comments, lots of likes. You've been brilliant, and I thank you for your support. Make sure you go like the Instagram page, and I'll see you next week for another awesome guest. See you later.